they defeat us. Anyway.
It's brilliant.
I hope that was all right.
Yeah, it was amazing. Thank you.
We eventually made it to meet up. Good, I'm glad it was all right.
James Endeacott witnessed the second incarnation of rough trade, talking about Lucky Lives.
And there was indeed something that he was willing to share about those magical days.
Well, when I went back to Rough Trade, Jeff Travis didn't even have the name of the label at the time. It was owned by somebody else. And then he managed to buy the name of the label back in, I think it was 1990. And we put out a band called Terrace from Wales that I worked with, who were a great band. Fortunately, didn't make a great record, a great album, but a really exciting band. And I just think, it was a very, very small company, and Rough Trade had a lot of success in the past. And, as you know, the history books tell you, they were one of the first independent labels and all this sort of early post-punk stuff. Aztec Camera, Scritti Politti, all those sort of things. And then with the Smiths, of course, they were enormous. And bad business decisions by various people, harmed the label somewhat. And anyway, so when I got there, it was very fresh. There was only about 5 or 6 of us there. And then, I guess what changed it all were the Strokes. When Jeff and Jeanette first heard the Strokes, I went over to see them, and then they came over, and I basically clinged to them for 2 years like a whelk, and wouldn't leave them. And we had a great time. And then of course, I found the Libertines, and that all kicked off. And so we're on a high. We were, and all labels go through this, I think, and all A&R men do. At that moment, there was a period of 2 or 3 years where we were just on the crest of a wave. We were absolutely surfing, and nobody could touch us. We had 2 of the greatest bands. And then we got Anthony the Johnsons came, we got Arcade Fire, and all these great artists who were all doing really, really well. And it was an exciting time, and I'm really proud to have been a part of it. I'm really proud to have worked at Rough Trade. I learned so much from Jeff and Jeanette at Rough Trade. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if it wasn't for them. I owe a lot, if not everything, to those two for their faith in me. Somebody at the age I was in my life, they offered me an opportunity that a lot of people thought I was over the hill, So, and hopefully I repaid them back. I'm sure I did, I'm sure they wouldn't say anything horrible about it. But, it was a great time. But then it just got to the point where I had to leave, I got offered an opportunity by Sony to do my own label. And I just thought, let's see if I can do this on my own, It was really hard to leave Rough Trade. It was really hard. Because it was my home, Yeah, it was my home, Rough Trade, and it was really difficult to tell Jeff, and it was really difficult to tell Jeanette. And, I feel Rough Trade's a real part of me, and it always will be. And I'll always think very highly of it, and, and it was and I'm really proud to have worked at a label that will be seen in 100 years' time as being one of the most influential labels in its time. And I played my little part in it, and I'm really thankful and grateful for that. But things have got to move on, I could still be there, and I could be doing that, but you have to move on and try different things. I want to see if I could do it for myself, have my own label without the name Rough Trade behind me, without Jeff Travis and Jeanette. And luckily, the first band I found were The View, who went on to have an album at #1 and sell a load of records. So once again, I was blessed by somebody. Somebody was looking down on me.
And then we asked him about his current project with 1965 Records.
1964, Rocky Road. Well, it started off as a joint venture with Sony, where I owned half the label and they did. And that went on for 3 years. And now the label is just basically in name only. It's just in name only. So I own the name, and I work out of the building here where we are at Sony in Kensington. And I've got The View that's still 1965, and I've also been A&R-ing Miles Kane, who used to be the Last Shadow Puppets. He's signed to Columbia, but I've been working with him for 18 months. So 1965 is having a little bit of a rest at the moment. I'm putting The View out, and I've had a bit of a rest for about 2 years from it. And next year I'm going to start revamping it and getting new things going. I just need to have a bit of a not time away from it, but the first 3 years of doing it, I put loads of records out and just went a bit mad and ran around the world and put some great records out, but none of them sold anything. But, so what? It doesn't really matter. But no, I'm really proud of the label, 1965, and lots of people seem to know the name of the label. For such a young label, it's great, it's every boy's dream. You have a dream when I think you either want to be Superman or Batman, or you want to be England captain, or you want to own your own record label. And I manage one of them. I'm not going to tell you which one. You've got to guess. But it's fine. It's fun. It's fun. But it's hard work, man. It's hard selling records these days. It's hard keeping your head above water. But I think people with passion and knowledge and excitement and verve and all that stuff, I think will eventually come out on top.
The music business nowadays seems to be more about the business than the music.
So we're asking, why is that?
Well, people say the music business, but most people look at the business side of it rather than the music side of it. I'm a music fan, as I said to you, I'm doing what I was doing 30 odd years ago, buying records and going to gigs. I went to see Echo and the Bunnymen last night. I've not seen them since 1981, when I was 16. And it was amazing. It was brilliant. But yet, I come into work today and I'm listening to a new band called Breton, who are like a little band on a little label called Hemlock Recordings. It's a weird little label. And they're a mad little London band, a bit dubsteppy, a bit dubby, a bit out there. But I really like them. So you can go from one to the other, But to me, it's all just about getting excited about music. And that's what it is, I can't understand people who are in this who don't like music. What's the point, man? Go work in a fucking bank or something.
Being in the music industry himself, we asked him what he thinks are the responsibilities that come with a job description.
Well, you and I know, there are records that changed my life. Love Forever Changes changed my life. Certain Bob Dylan albums changed my life, The first Clash album changed my life. The first Specials album. There's old records. These records changed my life. And for me to be able to put records out, I know that the first album by The Strokes changed people's life. The first album by The Libertines changed people's life. The View maybe has made, and just those three acts in themselves, to have played a small part in those records coming out. And if I start to think about the way that records affect me, and that I'm putting out records that affecting somebody else in the same way that I get affected, it's pretty mind-blowing. Because it's a pretty amazing thing to happen to you. That a piece of vinyl or a CD or whatever, something that lasts for 45 minutes, can have such an effect upon you for the rest of your life. It can open up literature, it can open up film, it can open up the whole world. But what's in those grooves is so exciting, And for me to meet people, and I do meet people who say the first album by The Strokes or The Libertines especially, changed their lives, it's just like, wow. Because I know what they're going through, because I went through the same thing. And it's like, you don't want to think about it too much. It just does your head in. It does your head in a little bit. Then you start getting like you think you're Jesus or something, which is bullshit. Basically, just putting records out that you like. But I'm really looking at some have changed people's lives and some haven't. There's a handful of people out there who really believe and are still flying the flag and fighting the cause. Forever, never will they defeat us. Anyway.
You would have done the same, were you in our shoes. Because we couldn't help but ask him.
Was it true that Monday morning he actually dashed into Jeff's offices saying, "I've just seen the Beatles in Hamburg in 1962"?
Yeah. Well, what happened was I saw them on a Saturday night and I was just thinking about them. Oh no, it might have been a Friday actually. It might have been a Friday, and I remember just going in on the Monday morning, got there really early, I went, Jeff, I went to see this band. He went, yeah. I said, they're called Libertines. I said, honestly, Jeff, it was like I imagine seeing the Beatles in Hamburg in 1962. It really was. He went, what? And I've read interviews with him where he's just gone, that I was just so like mind-blowingly passionate about this thing. He just said, right, you can have some money, give them some money to do some demos, go and sort it out. And I was just like, I've seen this band. It just reminded me of how it would have been, because the band came on at like 2 a.m. and everybody in the place was just mental. I mean, everybody was on drugs, everybody was fucked up. And the band came on, they only had one microphone. They didn't have a bass player, it was just Pete and Carl and Gary. Pete and Carl kept swapping between bass and guitar. They had one microphone, which is why that thing about them always singing on microphone, it all started because they only had one microphone, And it was just, they were out of tune, they were all over the place, but the energy and the excitement was just, if you listen to the audio of it, you just go, that's a pile of shit, But to actually hear it all, to see it, was just one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Yeah, it's just mind-blowing. And the only thing I can imagine it would be like seeing the Beatles in Hamburg in 62, where they'd been playing for like 4 weeks, and they were just tight and just having it and just fucking just, passion, exciting. So yeah, it's true. In answer to your question.
Amazing quote.
If now you're willing to start working in the music industry because you've seen what James Endeacott is, I totally understand you.
And probably you're on a good track, because if you follow his teachings, then that will get you far. James, we heart you! We hope you've enjoyed this new brand of gin.
Now just stay tuned for many more sessions and so many more truths.
Well, there's not many of us left, to be honest. Honestly, there isn't many people left who think like I do. I mean,